Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Ronin and I Talks. I'm Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films.
I'm Nazrin Prod.
And today we're joined with a special guest, SJS from SJSArts. We'll leave a link to his channel. Go subscribe. How are you doing, SJS?
Here today, gone tomorrow. I'm SJS. What's your name? Thanks for having me.
Yes. That's okay. And today we're going to kind of talk about films that perhaps struggle with, we enjoy. Nazrin, do you want to explain?
Oh, yes, this is my idea. The idea was films you're conflicted about. And it turned into a much harder subject than I initially thought. So this will be easy. And it turns out it's not easy because films can be the boring or good. But films in the middle, where you've got some sort of conflicted feelings about, are more difficult to find. And everyone's got their own idea of why they're conflicted about certain films.
Yeah, so it's not films that you just can't stand. They're films that you like, but there's issues with. So for me, I'm just going to kind of maybe pick examples of kind of bigger issues.
Yeah.
Rather than being, but again, we'll all have our own kind of interpretation of what that means.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's because everyone's got their own reasons why they have a problem with it. Like, I've got certain things, a lot of things I find is, you'll hear this a lot from my list is like script issues, like scripts that haven't been finished and they absolutely cause problems for decent directors. That's something that bugs me a lot. But there's also other things that bug me as well. But everyone's the one thing of what bugs them in films. Some things that is like, for other people, like, that's not important, who cares? And then they will get to you. And there's certain things that you won't care about, but someone else can go, that's a big problem for me in this film. So we've all got our own little things of what makes us conflicted, which is why I think it was quite a good subject to do, is because most films are either love it or hate it, is what the internet seems to try and do, is like, oh, it's a masterpiece, oh, it's the most awful film ever. And usually in both cases, I always think, have you seen many films? This is not a masterpiece and it's not the worst film ever. I've seen much better and much worse than your average blockbuster. This is nothing. This is just a 3-star film. Who cares? You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, my list has like quite a few 3-star films, then it has some 4-star films and lots of Hollywood mainstream. Yeah. And I have lots of like different reasons for many of these, but
yes.
Yeah.
So we'll let SGS do the first one then, since he's our guest.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So this is a film that I know that both of you have seen. It's Inland Empire by David Lynch.
Yep.
So this is a film that I really like, but the big flaw to me is the awful digital visuals. They kind of really take me out of the film. And then the other thing is, of course, that it's a 3-hour-long film, then that makes the visuals even worse when you have to sit through 3 hours of them. And then, even though I love the Lynch like weirdness and the incomprehensible nature of his films, like this is maybe even borderline too much. But I've watched it 2 times now, and it definitely got better on a rewatch. And I think maybe in the future I will think it's a masterpiece. But now I think it's a good film, but the visuals kind of take me out of it.
Well, yeah, I think I remember. Sorry.
Well, the good news is the visuals are going to get upgraded for the 4K remaster. Like Lynch is going in and actually doing them himself. So there might be a difference in the visuals when the remaster comes out. So that's one thing. We don't know what's going to be like in the future because he is going in and taking it from the source again. So it might look slightly different. So that was just what I was going to say because I know it's coming out.
Yeah, all I remember is I think he fell in love with that format because he could edit it a lot easier. So he could just shoot and shoot and shoot without and he could just edit it so much quicker and kind of, but it's certainly different. I mean, I've only seen it twice myself. because it's not really the one that you reach for to go back and revisit. But again, if it does get a better transfer, then you probably will find it's a better film.
Weird. I've only watched it once and I adored it. I really adored it. It's one of those ones, like, I can see why people have problems with it, but I just liked the nature of it. It was incomprehensible and it was weird and did go on, and I could see why some people don't like it, but I must have got in the rhythm of the film, whatever was intended. I must have kind of clicked to it. So I never had a problem with that stuff, but it was, I know why people do have problems, but it was, for me, it was.
I mean, I found it a bit indulgent.
Indulgent.
That's what word of the day.
Are you calling him Fellini?
No. Lynch is much better.
Yeah. Well, we've just had a joke
After my
before we
one,
started.
let's.
Because
That's another.
SJS had an issue with Ronin's video about Fellini being calling him indulgent.
It's based on one film. That's not a sample size.
Yeah.
But I think that leads to a lot of the times kind of camera choices by a director can affect, obviously we've had the whole phenomenon of shaky cam and kind of lots of cuts. And again, the way a director chooses to shoot a film can also kind of take you out of the experience as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I really love Laura Dern in this film. And fun fact about Laura Dern is that she actually dated the Finnish author Renny Harlin back in the 90s.
Yeah.
That's always something that baffles me a lot, but hopefully she has a better taste in men these days. But
you mean the great auteur Renny Harlin?
Everybody
the genius
Renny
behind
Harlin.
Cutthroat Island.
Did she not get an Oscar nomination for Inland Empire?
I don't know. He's been nominations here and there. I mean, I did not get someone for Straight Story. He got nominations for Straight Story. And
I thought Laura Dern got a nomination for Inland Empire, but
maybe she got stuff from indie places more than who knows. But it is a kind of interesting film because it is some people. It's one of the films in David Lynch's catalogue that they're not so keen on, and I kind of clicked with me. But then again, I'm the guy who loves Dune, so maybe some of the Lynch's weirder films that are maybe more flawed maybe resonate with me for some reason, Yeah,
and a side note, I watched The Elephant Man last night on the projector, and I hadn't seen it for years, and God, it's good.
Yeah, it is good. But it is one of those films that's like, it is quite experiencing. You have to steel yourself for it because it is kind of it's not one you just throw on.
And obviously I hadn't seen it in a big screen before, so it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, well, last night I watched GoldenEye and I was crying for how bad a Bond Pierce Brosnan was, so that was slightly different. The tears were different. I'm assuming you were crying at the end of it. I'm just assuming you cried at the end of every film.
Yes. Just the ones where everybody survives.
Oh yeah, that's understandable. Yeah.
So do you want to make a choice?
Okay, my first choice is Seven. So since I mentioned that I was going to talk about one of my big Tom Tensby scripts, Seven's the one that I think of most. I think it was easy to start with for me. Is that Seven is one of those films that's really well directed. Fincher's has always been a director who I think is really good at his craft. He's very good at dealing with actors. He's very good at dealing with atmosphere. Shot to shot, he does lots of good stuff. And in this one, he's got a script which a lot of people found scary, but I found utterly ridiculous. And it's like, I really have a conflict because for the first half, it just feels like a ridiculous version of Manhunter with great style. And the Brad Pitt character makes no sense because why is this guy even a cop? Why would they let him into the police? Because he's so stupid. He's a moron. He would never be a detective. He's not. It takes a lot more to be a detective than what he's got. And it's just those script things that they need to set up for the film to work at the end because Brad Pitt has to make a mistake at the end. It bugs me, and I just think the Emily the serial killer is just a kind of hacky, pretentious thing. It's not based on what a serial killer would actually be. This is just like this could be a Vincent Price movie from the 70s. This could be a Theatre of Blood 2 or something. It's got that kind of feel to it. And it's like, you did all this work, all these good actors in here for this script, which I just find annoying because it's like, it doesn't really say anything about anything. It's just meh. So that's why I'm conflicted, because I love the filmmaking and I hate the script.
Yeah, well, Fincher doesn't really do scripts, does he? He generally just gets...
He tends to get other people's scripts and then he works on them with them. And that's probably my flaw with Fincher generally, is I think sometimes he chooses scripts that maybe are not up to his level of filmmaking. I think sometimes he kind of lures himself to scripts that he could probably pass on. But I guess it's hard to actually get films made, so... But this was just my problem, this film. I know a lot of people love this film. So what do you two think of this one?
I really like it. I think it's my second favorite Fincher after Zodiac. But overall, I think that, again, Fincher is one of the most overrated directors of all time, along with the Tarantinos and Nolans of the world. But I really like the atmosphere in this film. And I don't hate Brad Pitt in it, even though I hate Brad Pitt himself. And Morgan Freeman is decent in it, and I like the ending. And yeah, I haven't seen it in a while, but I really like it overall.
Yeah, I mean, I like it, I enjoy it. It doesn't really bother me, the script. But it does bother me where people go, oh, it's like one of the most bleak endings of all time. It's like the police would have covered it up, plus he gets out of being married to Gwyneth Paltrow. So, I mean, it's not that much of a horrible ending. People kind of make it's the bleakest ending of all time. It's like, no, it's not.
Yeah,
the police would have covered it up. It's like,
we're head in a box, comedy gold.
I know, it's like, granted, I kind of rate it lower than I did like 20 years ago. But I still enjoy it.
But this one still
doesn't bother me as much.
Yeah, this one always stuck in my craw even when it was released. I think most of my impressions of it came when it was released, because I just thought this is unrealistic, because this is just not how you do an investigation, and it bugs me because I know it's well made, but it's like you just went into the script one more time and finesse certain things, it would have been fine. But
plus, it also led to lots of knockoff serial killers where the serial killer would have a theme.
Yeah, I know, and it's just like, just watch Manhunter. Just watch Manhunter. It's so much better. Silence of the Lambs is better as well, even though it's got flaws. But I still think it's got a better emotional core. I'm sure some people disagree with that one, but
the problem is if you compare serial killer films to Manhunter, they're all going to come off second best.
But I think this one was influenced by Manhunter directly, which is why I find it harder. But yeah, that's what I'm conflicted about, because it is genuine. So it's not a bash, it's a case of the filmmaking so good and the script doesn't match up to it, really. So that's my kind of conflict with that one.
So, as always, I'm probably going to completely miss the remit, but bear with me.
That's why you're here.
Yeah, exactly. So, talk about The Man Who Knew Too Little with Bill Murray, okay?
Yep.
It's a film that I enjoy, but I'm conflicted because I hate the idiots come good type films.
Yeah.
Where morons somehow work it all out and it all comes good in the end. But I really enjoy that film. Bill Murray's fantastic. It's a film that, I mean, it's a 3-star film.
It's a very enjoyable one.
Yeah, but that concept of idiots coming good really annoys me. But I do have a soft spot for that film, so that's how I'm conflicted.
I know you're talking about that one. Yeah. I do like it as well, but it is a kind of, it should not work, but because they've got professionals making it, it works.
Yeah, the supporting cast is really good, but that idea behind it, which, I mean, there's hundreds of films like that really annoy me. But
it's a Forrest Gump effect.
Yeah.
Really. Have you seen this one, SJS?
No, I haven't seen it, but I actually have a Bill Murray film on my list too, but I haven't seen it.
Yes, this is an anti-Bill Murray episode. But again, his charm and the supporting cast, you know, it does pull it off. but it's just that concept really annoys me.
Yeah, it is a kind of thing. It is more annoying when someone does a good version of a film that you should hate, and they pull it off, and it's like, damn, I really want to hate this film, and I really can't because it's done professionally.
It's an enjoyable romp, even though the scene right before the end credits is god awful with G.E. Freeman. They should have cut it 5 minutes before the end of the film, but never mind.
Oh well. But yeah, no, I mean, it's like, I haven't seen it for years, but I remember enjoying that one. But I tend to be an easy mark for Bill Murray films unless it's really bad. It's like, he tends to he's built up some goodwill over the years, so it's kind of.
So does that lead up to SJS's second choice then? Do you want to go to your Bill Murray film? Or?
Yeah. I'm not sure whether you guys have seen this, but it's the 2004 Garfield film by Peter Hewitt. I just rewatched this a couple of days ago. And
what's it called?
Garfield.
Oh,
yeah.
That's ones I've avoided. It's one of those ones like, it's good for avoiding because it's like it's a film even the people who made it probably didn't want to make it.
Yeah, Bill Murray sounds like he wanted to kill himself when he did the voice acting for this one, but I loved it as a kid and I just rewatched it, and it's a truly awful film, but I cannot help but really love it. So that's where the kind of conflict is, that I really know that it's an awful film and there are lots of awful aspects of it, but I still really like it. But the human performances are really awful. The characters are stupid. The CGI is bad. Then there's this kind of weird thing that the main dog, Odie, he cannot talk, but all the other dogs in the film can talk. So what's that about? And then there's this awful dancing sequences that I even hated as a kid, but it's still like really funny when you hear like Bill Murray with that I want to kill myself voice and stuff. But I wouldn't recommend this to people, but I really like it. And I remember back in the Vultures and Ashes days, me and Isaac actually talked about this on a podcast, and it was fun. But
yeah. There's a good joke in Zombieland 2 about it, because they had a Bill Murray flashback to before the zombie outbreak, and they asked him, why did you do Garfield? And he goes, well, as you know, drugs cost money. And it was like, that was the best summing up of Garfield ever. But yeah, I've never seen it, but it's one of those ones I just thought, no, I'm not. Another thing is, there's certain films, after you've gone past a certain age, you're too old for them, and you don't really have time to watch them. It's like, I'm not going to like this. I'm not going to bother with this one. It's good. It's not for me. I'm good. Never seen it.
But again,
it would make a good video for your channel, though.
Oh, no way. I may go towards Battlefield after. I have some level of. I will not go there.
But again, it also speaks to the magic of cinema, the fact that a film can have every single element that you don't like, but somehow you still like it, and there's no mathematical explanation for it.
Yeah, but we've all got nostalgia things that we know are not that good, that we can chuck on and enjoy, even though we know objectively that's not good. There's so many flaws in this that I could pick them all one by one, and I've watched it a good 5 or 6 times, and I have no defense for it. Like, I have an example of Battlestar Galactica, the original show. I've seen that so many times, that show, and it's not that good. But I have nostalgia for it from being a kid.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, nostalgia's still there no matter what. The passion is still there from seeing it as a kid, but you know it's not that good.
Yeah.
And a similar film that I really like is Stuart Little. It's today, it's today, it's today.
Yes, it's a tricky
I've
one.
seen Stuart Little. That's a fun little film.
I haven't seen that one either.
Actually, fun coincidence that I just realized is that back when we did Vultures and Ashes, we did David Lynch and Garfield back to back, just like I did here.
Well,
something in your DNA that
you like them. It's an emotional need. You'll be getting therapy in 20 years, and you'll be saying, "What's the connection between Garfield and David Lynch? What's going on with this? It's driving? It's in my dreams now. It's infecting my dreams."
How about David Lynch Garfield film? That would
I know. No, I'm just thinking. and Garfield and the Black Lodge.
And he made Rabbit, so you could make Garfield and Odie in that.
Yes.
So do you want to go to your next choice now?
My choice. All right, yeah. My next choice is, there's two films, but I'm choosing one, but I'll mention another one. It's the same kind of thing. I don't make two different choices for what's essentially the same issue. So basically, it's A Clockwork Orange, but also Scarface, also the same problem for me, really. As a sense of, they're really, really well directed by people who really know what they're doing. I think Clockwork Orange and Scarface are a touch above Seven for style and how well they're put together and how they're funny. They're genuinely funny, and they're get acting which is a bit over the top and theatrical and wonderful. There's so many good scenes in both the films that are really enjoyable, and there's some real stylistic things going on in them that you have to admire the craftsmanship of them because they're really well made. But I don't think they really get the subject matter as well, as close as they should. And I think they get by in style more than they get by in actually really examining what they're about. And it's kind of disappointing, because I think with Kubrick, especially for me, because I'm a big Kubrick fan, I find Clockwork Orange to be less of Kubrick, because I just think he kind of sticks to the caricatures more than he could have. He could have gone a bit more deeper and found the kind of human horror of the situation more that is beyond just simple social satire. Like if you look at something like Paths of Glory, there is a satire about the institutions, but there's also a lot of humanity. And now this Clockwork Orange is broader, but I still feel like he never quite gets the human horror of it. And I think with Scarface, the human horror of the greed and the megalomania, because all of us own scripts over the top, you kind of lose something that would have given the finale more horror instead they go for humor. So both of them is because I just think that they never quite get where they're trying to go. So I'm conflicted because there's so much good stuff in them, but there's also a kind of lack in the centre of them.
But then critics of De Palma would say all of his films are style over substance.
Well, I'm also a big De Palma fan, and I would say that's bollocks.
No, but that's what his critics would say.
I know what I mean. Like, I think a lot of films, the style is the substance are kind of mingled in the same place. Yeah. But I know what you mean. But it's like I was referring to the critics rather than you.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like. But I didn't want to repeat the same point for two films because it was basically the same feeling I was having both of these films.
I mean, they're both films that I obviously enjoy, but they're probably not the films from those directors that I watch the most often.
Yeah, me too. It's like it's one of those things I always want to like them more. And I always try and every time I watch them, I get the same feeling. I really enjoyed so much of this. And there's a kind of something that got in the way, and it's like.
But again, I haven't read the Burgess novel, so is the novel deeper or is it just a satire?
Well, the thing is, Kubrick tended to redo novels into his own anyway. So I mean, Shining is nothing like the book. The book and the film is different. It's much more fun. The film's much funnier, but it's also got a human element to it. It's really haunting.
Yeah.
And Clockwork Orange doesn't do it for me. And Scarface is based on an old film, so it's a bounce off that. But it's just there are issues for me.
Yeah, I like Scarface, but I haven't seen it in like 8 years, so I don't remember it that well. But it's definitely not a masterpiece like some people say. But Clockwork Orange, I obviously love, like you. No, I've seen it many times, and I love the dark humor, and I think that themes about like government versus individual and anarchy versus security and those kinds of things, which I also like to explore in my studies and stuff. So those are just themes that I really enjoy, and I love the Malcolm McDowell performance. And yeah, to me, it's just so entertaining. Yeah. And it's one of my favorite Kubricks, but it's not quite up there with like Paths of Glory and stuff.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. One of the things with a film, there's so much that you like, but you can't quite get that. But then we've all got films like that, and there'll be different ones for different people. Some people adore Clockwork Orange. To them, that's the best Kubrick. That's the ideal Kubrick, and it's like, I'm not trying to argue them down or anything, because it's like, well, that's your taste. But just for me, it's a bit trickier.
And going back to that Burgess novel, I've read it, but it has a different ending than the film, and I think both endings were quite well. But I think the book is actually quite similar to the film. Yeah, it has the same language and like lots of the same scenes, and it's not that different.
Apart from the character's age, obviously.
Yeah. So do you want to go on, Ronin, with your second one?
Well, again, this is more a broader theme, because it's Jaws, which is a film that I absolutely love and is just about perfect. But it's about the addition of an extra line that was put in the 30-year anniversary, which was never in the original cut, of the Show Me the Tanks, which again is completely unnecessary. It's insulting the audience to think, we can see the tank, we know we throw the tank in, we know he's shooting at it, but the addition of that line, obviously off screen, really bugs me. And it's more the wider idea of making changes to films later or adding things that weren't in previously. Just leave things alone, basically.
So it's a George Lucas effect you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Jaws is absolutely fantastic, but every time I watch it, I know that line's coming and it bugs the hell out of me.
I never even noticed the line, honestly. I watch Jaws every few years, but I don't know every more. I try and watch enough to forget about it and then watch it again. So I'm not like, it's not something I can scan and say, oh, they changed that, they changed that, they changed that. I don't know as well as that, but I mean, Spielberg did something similar with E.T. and then moved back to the original cut eventually as well.
Yeah, let's just leave things alone.
Yeah.
That was fine for 30 years.
Yeah.
It's just being picky.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It depends. I mean, you can't have director's cuts of stuff. I think as long as you keep the originals available is a big thing. Keep the originals available so people can see the original like the original. And I think it's tricky when you don't do that. I think it's a real problem. Like some people are annoyed at Star Wars. You can't get the original Star Wars. Eventually you'll get it. I mean, eventually Disney's keeping it back now so they can release it eventually and make a fortune off it.
Yeah, you can buy the specialized versions, which have sold lots of copies, but obviously they're unofficial.
I know, but you can get them. But Disney's going to do that eventually. They won't do it out of respect for George Lucas just now. But there's other ones like Amadeus Director's Cut. You can't see the original Amadeus. And I think the Director's Cut of that film is way too long and the original was fine.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's when you don't have the original version. And it's like, I want to have the choice. Like you can get 3 versions of Apocalypse Now. You can choose whatever you want to watch.
I mean, obviously, I adore Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. It's in the discussion for my favourite film of all time. But I actually think the added scenes, because of the voiceover, the voice acting actually takes you out of it. So I actually prefer the original cut.
Yeah.
It might end up can't actually get the original cut anymore.
Yeah, because there's a couple of scenes that are actually slow the film down, basically.
Yeah.
It's like you don't need them. It's not necessary to have these scenes in the film.
And bizarrely, the ones that actually take you out are the ones that Eli Wallach and Clint Eastwood voiced, but because they're older, it just doesn't seem right.
Yeah, that is a tricky one.
The kind of cut that we've known the longest is actually the better one, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Spartacus had some of that stuff in as well, where there was some scenes that were cut out and they went back and revoiced them, but you could tell they were different. And it was just like, I'm not quite sure if this is not working. This is really not working.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Jaws, and everybody knows that I'm not the biggest fan of Steven Spielberg, but to me the film is just a stupid genre horror shark film, and there's not much more to it, even though people praise it every day of the week, but I can't get the hype. But I really loved it as a kid, and I found it really scary as a kid, but then when I rewatched it as an adult, I didn't like it that much anymore.
I mean, it's just classic scene after classic scene.
Yeah.
Plus, it's when Spielberg actually did interesting things with his camera, which he seems to have completely forgotten about.
Yeah, it is a kind of weird one. It's that one line's changed, but that kind of annoy you if they change certain things. I mean, there's certain things in specials and stuff that don't bother me at all. There's other stuff that do bother me. It's like, it just depends on the situation. I don't have a golden rule, but I do like to have the original there so you can watch both if you want. And that's it. That's a simple solution. You go to your director's cut. There's also this other cut that people can see the original theatrical, and they can make their mind up. And that's it. You can watch whatever one they want, and I think that's the simplest solution, really.
Yeah, that's the Alien films did that very well. The first four, because they've got the director's cut and the theatrical cuts on them. Because the director's cut of Ridley Scott isn't as good as the theatrical cut.
I disagree.
There you go.
Yeah, because I like the life cycle bit that goes back into it. You can with life cycle, and they cut down some of the end chase, which I think is a bit slow and a bit theatrical. But I'm not a massive Alien fan.
Yeah.
To me, Alien's what SJS said about Jaws. To me, where basically, to me, it's a well-made horror film, but it's not. So why is this the biggest? Why am I meant to kind of revere this all the time? It's not, doesn't do much for me.
Yeah, the work cut of Alien 3 is probably my favourite Alien film.
Yeah. And if you find a way to get rid of Alien 4 altogether, it would be perfect.
SJS, what's your next choice?
Yeah.
This is actually really funny because you guys just talked about this. It's the first Alien film.
All right.
Yeah, so this film is like I like the idea that you are exploring space and you find these weird creatures, but then again, like I think Nazarene just said that this is kind of a stupid like a genre film, and I actually find it really, really boring. Especially the first hour to me is absolutely tedious. I even saw this film in the cinema in London, and it didn't help. So, and because the first hour is so tedious, like I'm kind of so bored out of my mind that I'm not even excited for the good stuff in the end. But then again, I like the idea of this film, and I really like the design of the xenomorph. I think they are really, really scary, and they are really well designed. And then I also think that the characters are really one-dimensional and not that interesting. But it's an okay film, and I like certain aspects of it, but I really don't get the hype. And this seems to be one of those films that people expect everyone to love, but I don't really get the full hype. Yeah,
I don't have it as highly rated as I used to, again, like 20 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I like the first half of the second half, but I share a lot of feelings about it, though. It's just that when I finally saw it, I was like, this is it. This is Alien. This is the thing I was meant to be so impressed by. I think there's a film called Planet of the Vampires that was made before Alien, like a decade before Alien, which I adore. And it's tacky to lots of actors who are not that good and lots of people who are dubbed. But it's so much more inventive than Alien, and it's like I'd much rather watch that than Alien any day of the week.
Yeah.
And Alien's just one of those ones I can't get behind. I just think Ridley Scott's a pretty cool director overall. A lot of films they're visual, but a lot of times they don't really get to me. There's ones I like, but it's kind of like Fincher, where I think a lot of his films have real script problems.
Yeah, Ridley Scott's right up there with the most overrated directors of all time.
Yeah, this is really controversial, but I actually think Prometheus is better because it's kind of closer to being like that kind of more intellectual, more thoughtful sci-fi, even though it has some big flaws to it, but it has some like more interesting ideas, and it's not just a stupid genre film.
Yeah, but that has lots of stupid characters in it.
Yeah. but I know he's talking about it, though.
Yeah,
it's like I kind of have conflicted feeling of Prometheus. I like bits of it, but I don't like other bits. And it's the same with Alien Covenant, which again, there's bits I like, and there's bits that are absolutely horrible. And it's like, well, you can't make a consistent film. You just like you put every idea he's got into the film, rather than just saying that's good, that's bad, let's not do that.
Well, Kim Newman actually makes a good point in the commentary of Planet of Vampires, the new Kino Lorber release, about how Star Wars isn't really a science fiction film because it has no ideas. So it's a science fiction film with no ideas. And obviously it is based on just other genres, so it shouldn't actually be included in science fiction. And yes, Prometheus has ideas that obviously Alien is essentially just a haunted house.
Yeah, it's a well-made haunted house, but it's kind of, it's one of those genre things that are, it's not as original as it seems, and it's kind of got this thing of, I would pick the Thing over Alien any day of the week. It's just much more interesting, scary. Alien just is just like, it's an old style movie with a certain thing, that's it, and it's like, yeah, I can get why you'd be conflicted about it, because I'm conflicted about it as well. It's just one of those films that's just like, that's it. Planet of the Vampires, everybody, go watch it instead of Alien. It's awesome. It's Mario Bava is best. Just a little promotion. Watch this one instead.
Yeah, I need to watch this one.
And it does have a great Kim Newman documentary where he does actually use an F-bomb. I've never heard him swearing.
Basically, fuck him. I don't like it.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
I'm not sure if it's your kind of film, SJS, but if you like that kind of taggy 60s films, it can be fun.
The production design is wonderful, and it has that Bava lighting. That's fantastic.
And it was made for no money whatsoever. It was for shooting like really inventively with no money, unlike if it destroyed all the money. But yeah, I'm definitely with SGS in this one. I totally agree. Yes, Alien is.
Yeah, I've always preferred the second one, and now I prefer the third one.
Yeah,
the work cut at least.
But it's nice that some people agree with me. It seems to be such a rare opinion. So,
well, I don't think it is. I think it's just one of those ones that's it's so like everyone's like, you have to like this. It's the same with Jaws. You have to like Jaws.
Yeah,
but you don't. I happen to adore Jaws. I don't think everyone has to like Jaws. It's like it's boring if it's just that. So I'm just checking something. Here we go. That's it.
So what's your next choice?
It's my choice, all right.
Yeah.
I was just checking some technical there, and it's just come back up for some reason. Great. Sorry about this. I am having technical issues. I'm trying to find my list here. Okay, my next one is Showgirls. I thought I'd go crazy and try and do something different. Showgirls is terrible in lots of ways. Showgirls has a terrible script. It has way over the top terrible acting. It is gaudy. It has so much nudity that will make you impotent. But it is a total satire about the make it big, make it rich genre. And so much of it feels intentionally gaudy and ridiculous. And it feels like Verhoeven took a script that was terrible and known it was terrible and was doing a massive send-up of the whole American dream. So politically, I think it's hilarious and really smart. But as a film, I don't think he got the mix right at all. I think he was trying to do something that was ironic and it fell way into camp. So that's why I'm conflicted, because I think there's a lot of fun subtext there, but also there's lots of terrible stuff there as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I still haven't seen it.
I've seen it, but to be honest, I don't remember much about it. But it's another film that we talked about in Vultures, I think, because Isaac recommended it to me. But it's a fun film. I remember that I enjoyed watching it. But yeah.
It's I thought I'd try and reverse what I was complaining about before, like how a terrible script can actually be used by a director who knows it's a terrible script. But it is a kind of weird one, because when you defend this one, it's like, you're weird. What's wrong with you? But you know it's terrible. Well, yeah, I do, but I also know it's interesting.
Yeah, I think it might have an element of Starship Troopers and the fact that people maybe missed the point.
Yeah, I think Starship Troopers is better made, though.
Yeah,
I think this one, I think the writer of Starship Troopers knew what he was doing, what he was getting at. I think this one, the writer didn't quite know he was writing a piss take. He was trying to be genuine. I think it was a mismatch of two different points of view, but which made it funny, but it's also a kind of weird film. I've done a whole video in this one on my channel. So you can go and see that my whole explanation of Showgirls, how weird it is. But it is one I'm always interested in thinking about because of Verhoeven, and he's a strange director.
Fair enough.
That's my choice. That's my...
Right, so my next choice is just a personal thing. So with films that have these scenes, I don't really enjoy them because I don't enjoy that kind of thing. So for example, I'm going to use Deep Rising, but I could use Alien Resurrection in the deep. It's underwater claustrophobia, where even the Poseidon Adventure, the scenes where people have to hold their breath and then go under large stretches of water, I just find it uncomfortable. So any film that has it, that's the scenes that I don't really enjoy. So it's nothing to do with filmmaking, nothing to do with scripts. It's just underwater claustrophobic scenes.
So I guess you're really waiting on Aquaman 2.
Yeah, that's yeah, Aquaman was one of the dullest films I've ever seen in life. But
yeah.
Underwater claustrophobic scenes, not really my cup of tea. So that's just a struggle from a personal standpoint.
So what's your take on the best?
Yeah,
that's the
I
best
don't really
ones.
like that scene. Yeah,
that's the what it's done properly in. Where people actually drown. That's like proper scenes. Despite some flaws in the film, those scenes are really good.
Yeah. In Alien Resurrection, having to swim underneath there, hold your breath, and there's bad CGI aliens following you as well. That would just be a nightmare.
That was the only half decent scene in that film. That was the only kind of defensible scene. And then you watch it now, the bad CGI, just like
it does kind of take you out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Poseidon Adventure does it really well as well. Because also I can't swim, so it's like
I can't swim either.
Yeah, I'll just stay here and die. I'll just stay here and die rather than actually. SJS, what's your next one? Because that one was just
yeah, I haven't seen it. Maybe I should go with a Martin Scorsese film. So it's a common theme when I'm on the podcast or when Isaac is on the podcast, that always like a modern Scorsese is brought up, but it's just The Wolf of Wall Street. I know Ronin hasn't seen this, but I think me and Nazarene agree about this film a lot. So to me, it's a really funny film, and I especially loved it when I was younger, back in my teens, obviously because it was so.
You make me feel so
big
old.
And fun.
For me, this feels like a film was made 2 years ago.
Yeah, I was.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, but I think again, Scorsese should get a better editor because that film is 1 hour too long.
Like the
last hour is like the part that should be cut down to half at least. Like all the fun stuff is in the first 2 hours, and then the last hour is awful, basically. And of course, this is very like a cliche for Scorsese. He always does these rise and fall films, and I would like him to do something else for once, but I guess he's just comfortable doing films like this. But it's still fun, but again, it should be shorter. And again, I'm not a huge fan of Leonardo DiCaprio, and yeah, but it's a good film, I think.
Yeah, it's Scorsese does have a problem in the final hour. It's like the fall stuff just feels very repetitive, and it's like this thing was done so much quicker and much more effective. It was brutal how he fell. Instead, it just goes on and on and on. It's kind of similar to Scarface, is that same sense of there's lots of scenes going on in it. There's lots of good scenes, and then it's like, but they haven't pinpointed the script how it should really be interesting, and it's like, why am I watching this? I know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think Scorsese these days, like he really lacks any kind of nuance. He makes these kind of bigger than life films, but there's no nuance in the themes or in the characters. Like he had nuance back in the day when he did Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy, but Goodfellas onwards, not so much.
Yeah, I mean, even something like Casino, I really like Casino. I mean, I'm going to keep him up to like the Nicolas Cage one, and then he seems to fall off a cliff. But I think I've said to you, Tess, yes, I've stopped being angry about it now because I've just accepted that it's like he had a peak and now it's just not good. And yeah. I'm fed up ranting about him now, so like I don't care anymore.
Yeah, the two of you haven't really convinced me to watch it, but I will watch it at some point.
It's his best film of the 2010s. It's a very low bar, but it's his best one
Well,
of the 2010s.
Yes.
If only because he had a gall to remake the Silence. How dare he? I'm still pissed about that, by the way, to everybody. I was a big fan of the original Silence, and remaking that film is objectionably a war crime.
Fair enough.
I just.
I'm sure that's not hyperbole in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, I just thought. He's on remaking films I like. He remade Cape Fear, which I liked original. He remade Infernal Affairs really badly. He's remade The Silence. It's like, why remake all the films I like? Come on. They're always doing it badly. I'm sorry, I don't want to rant, but
So what's your choice?
My choice.
Yes.
Oh God. Well, SJS will love this because it's a Spielberg. It's Schindler's List. Because it's a well-made film for a lot of it. But the sentimentality has no place to be in a film about the Holocaust. There should not be sentimentality. This was an offense to humanity. This is a really serious subject. I don't care how much you try to cater to people in America. You should not do sentimentality in this film. And for 9/10 of it, avoids it, and then he puts it all in to that final section, and it's just appalling, and it's just an offense to everything they've done, and all the characterizations have been done. And it's like the film was really one of his best films till then, and he just absolutely shit the bed with this final section. It was like, you don't need that. This people should feel that on their own. You don't need to be told that. And that's why I'm conflicted, because it was a good film. It's not the best film about that period. I mean, there's no Come and See. The Pianist did it better later on. There's lots of really good films, from communist countries about that time. But it was a good film for an American studio to make about it, and then he just absolutely blew it at the end. And that's why I'm very conflicted about that film.
Yeah, people go watch The Human Condition Part 1 instead. It's kind of similar. You have a character who's trying to save the oppressed people and stuff.
Yeah, Human Condition is so much better than Schindler's List. It's not even a comparison.
No.
Yeah, I just rewatched the whole thing, and it was so amazing again.
Yeah. I'm saving it up because I want to watch the projector to actually see it. Like, I saw it on TV before, I want to watch it properly, but it's just like getting in the right mood to watch an 9-hour film.
Yeah. It projects really nicely.
Yeah.
Because apart from anything else, it looks really good as well.
Yeah.
I remember there's like a good video where Terry Gilliam talks about the Schindler's List on YouTube. I don't remember exactly what he said, but I remember that was a good critique of it.
Yeah, there's a Kubrick quote about Schindler's List. It's a good film, but it's a film about winners. He goes, and there's no one won in World War II, the Holocaust. That did not happen in the Holocaust. There was no winners. It was just survival.
I haven't seen it for a long, long time.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I also think that the Roman Polanski film, The Pianist, is kind of like a better version of this, but even though that isn't like a masterpiece either, but I think it's a bit better than this. Yeah,
it's better. It's just like you don't get the same, just this feeling of it's all for this emotional outpouring at the end, and it's like that's just sentimentality. It's just nothing to do with what happened there. That's just not.
Yeah.
And it was just done so badly as well. The sentimentality of it was done so badly. It was like, oh, shit, why did you do all this film and blow at the end?
Yeah, there you go.
But Claude Lanzmann hated it. Because he had shown he hated this film. He would honor about how bad it was, and was like, yeah, it was like, I didn't agree with everything he said, but the thing was, he was kind of right about certain things. Like, this is something that's so offensive. You cannot make it sentimental. You can't do that. The subject.
Yeah, but then it's that balance of somehow making it not palatable, but if you're trying to sell it, and if it's a Hollywood studio, then they're not.
But you're making a film about the Holocaust. It's the one thing you have to say. You have to take it. I mean, Kubrick films always look at Barry Lyndon. It's got no concessions. It may have bombed, but no concessions. And if you just sum it up with his screen, I think he's just frozen.
Yeah.
All right, we'll have to. what I'll do is I'll cut
Do
the
something
call.
like come and see.
Oh, wait, you just froze entirely there.
That is freeze.
Yeah, he froze completely. We
Apologies.
missed the whole point.
No, I was just going to say, a Kubrick film isn't really the same as a Spielberg film as far as box office at that time as well. Obviously, 20 years later, it's different.
Yeah,
You
but
know, I'm sure the studios was like, oh yeah, but we still have to make sure people go and see it. You know,
yeah,
so
but
it's that kind of
maybe
balance.
choose to make that film though. You should know not to do that stuff.
Of course.
Yeah,
of
I mean,
course.
you should just
Not
know.
arguing
It's-
that point.
I mean, it made so much money for the studios. At this point, it's like, okay, give me one. You should
Yeah.
done the full unsentimental version, but you never.
Absolutely.
And
If you buy the Criterion of Joseph Losey's Mr. Klein, there's a documentary on that about the roundup in Paris, and that is watch that instead of Schindler's List.
yeah. So is it your turn then?
Yes, I'm probably going to annoy people, but
Not
Hard
you.
to Be a God. This is an example again of another theme of Hard to Be a God is a good film, but for me, it just reminded me of Tarkovsky, and so I would much rather just go watch a Tarkovsky film. So sometimes there's films that when you're watching it, it reminds you of another film or another filmmaker that you prefer. Hard to Be a God is a good film for me, but it just felt, obviously it's a novel by the same writer that Tarkovsky did Solaris. But I just thought about Tarkovsky the whole time while I was watching it. But that's just me.
I loved that film.
I know you did. No, it's a good film, don't get me wrong.
But
It just reminded me of
the
Tarkovsky.
thing is,
so much.
I knew it was a Tarkovsky influence film, but it didn't bother me. It was just like, as an influence, it doesn't matter. It's still its own film. It still feels very different from Solaris and Stalker. It feels like its own thing, and it feels like its own kind of. I think because I read a lot of science fiction as a kid, and lots of different types of science fiction, switching around and having similarities doesn't bother me at all. It's just that that's just a genre. But
again, it's just a wider point of sometimes you can watch a film and
yeah,
it reminds you of something else. And
yeah, it kind of annoys you. If someone's doing it badly, I think it really bugs you. If someone's, you ever see a Malik ripoff? It's painful to watch. It's really painful. It's like, just don't. You just can't do it.
And it's that other what if thing. You know, when you watch The Magnificent Ambersons, you're always like, oh, I wonder what the full film would have been, even though the film that we have is still excellent.
Yeah.
You know, when you watch Total Recall, as much fun as I have with Total Recall, you always go, I wonder what the Cronenberg Total Recall would have been like. So it's just that kind of thing.
I think we got it with Existence in some ways. I think Existence is kind of like what we would have got with Total Recall for Cronenberg. It feels very much like what you have done there.
Again,
and Crimes of the Future as well is that kind of same feeling.
Yeah.
So I think he made it verse to Total Recall, but not officially.
I love Hard to Be a God. I actually watched it a few months ago. I've had the Blu-ray for quite a while, but it took me a while to watch it. But it's kind of one of those films that I think it's a masterpiece, but it's not necessarily one of my favorites. But I think that, again, the set design is some of the most interesting I've ever seen. Obviously, there's those like really ugly images, and it's very interesting. But with this same director, Alexei German, I like the other film that is on Arrow as well, Crystal of My Car. I think that was more my bag, but I think again, this is a five-star film, but again, it's not like very enjoyable to watch or anything like that.
Yeah, Crystal of My Car is my thing in the background there. I was thinking, is that? Can I see that? You should mention it. I can see that in my. Yep, I can. That's on my to watch list. Crystal of My Car. I've not watched it yet, but
it's in my backlog.
Yep. But we'll get to it. But yeah, I mean, there is that thing of if you have a director who is similar. Also, when you look at some directors who actually are similar to other directors, but they do their own thing with it, like De Palma with Hitchcock.
Yeah.
And there's other directors like that where it's like they are similar, but they're not the same either. And there's like, and it causes confusion with people because they can't quite get that you can be influenced, but you're also your own person.
Yeah.
like I'd much rather watch De Palma than Hitchcock, to be honest, because I think he's more interesting.
So
But a lot of people can't
Yeah.
get beyond that.
Yeah, I'm more of a Hitchcock guy, but
yeah, but Hitchcock was more melodramatic, more into the melodrama and the weird psychology of something. De Palma's more satirical, and it's like whatever one you like better, really. Ultimately, it's just what you're into, but doesn't really matter.
I would take Vertigo over De Palma's whole filmography.
Yeah, get. But yeah, I mean, it's just people's taste.
Yeah.
It's really everyone's taste. I mean, I'm into De Palma, SJS really isn't. So it's like, who cares? It's just,
I mean, I really love Carrie, but overall, I think he's just a good director, not a great director.
Yeah. It's that thing is like some people just directors don't connect with you. I mean, we were talking about Fellini earlier on, like Fellini connects with SJS and he completely misses for Ronin, and I'm kind of didn't really do much for me either. It's just
to be
what
fair,
connects.
I haven't seen enough of his films, but
like we're going to keep this going the whole podcast.
yes.
We're going to mock this for the whole podcast. It's too much fun to watch you get defensive about it.
Whereas for me, Hitchcock is a good director, but nothing more than that.
Yeah, I mean,
again,
just
I can see why obviously people love him. That's absolutely fine.
And also, by the way, I haven't actually seen like Body Double or Dress to Kill, so maybe those films like will change my mind or something.
Yeah, again, it's just taking in like, some directors you cannot connect with. I mean, like I think I said in Ronin's thing about Fellini, I could not connect with Fellini, but I could connect totally with Antonioni. Like the two Italian directors of the same period, and one I totally got, and one I just couldn't quite get. And it's just your sensibility. This is what you're looking for.
Yeah.
With some directors, you just sit back and watch the films, and you're completely hooked in. And other directors, I can't quite get there. I'm wrong at that though.
You can't like absolutely everything.
Yeah.
So SJS, have you got another choice?
Yeah. I'm gonna go with a trilogy. Actually, it's the Lord of the Rings trilogy, which is quite relevant at this moment to the Rings of Power. But I really like these films. I think they're great films, but I just hate the Hobbits. Like I really hate them. Frodo especially. Like his face is so punchable and the kind of weird emotions and I really I really hate how he kind of takes Gollum's side, and like even though Sam is like his best friend and stuff. And then I really hate the ending of the Return of the King when he's like Gimli, Legolas, Aragorn, Sam. Like I hate that. But I actually, when I watch like the Two Towers, I usually skip the scenes with Frodo and Sam because I just hate them so much. But I love all the stuff with like Legolas, Aragorn, Gimli, and Gandalf, and I actually don't mind like Merry and Pippin that much, but it's mostly Frodo. Like I just hate that guy so much. He's one of my least favorite characters of all time.
So funny enough, the one I don't like is Sam. He just annoys the hell out of me. He's like a stalker. He's just one of those ones that's like, I take the opposite side of you. It's like, just chuck him away. Chuck that guy away. He's weird. He's just like someone's stalker. It's like,
and there's this weird like homoerotic tension between them, but it's not done well. Like again, if you want like homoerotic tension done well, watch Roadhouse. Don't watch this.
It's also
wait for the remake of that.
Yeah. It's also just fucking get it over the way. Just get it done. Just be done. Stop these looks. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I think Lord of the Rings films are okay, but so I'm kind of on no side.
Yeah, I enjoy them as well. I watched them last Christmas, and I really enjoyed them because I hadn't watched them for years and years. Because I don't watch these ones all the time. I'm not a Lord of the Rings fan. I enjoy the films, but I'm more a Peter Jackson fan now. I'm a Lord of the Rings fan, and yeah, I know what he means because those are the scenes I don't like as much either. Those are the ones that are like they go on for a bit and they're very repetitive. It's like just get on with it. It's like two films of the same scene, and the first Two Towers, it's interesting enough because it's the start of it. By the time we get to Return of the King, it's like I find watching these bloody scenes forever. It feels like, and it's like just get on with it. But I mean,
they're solid films, but obviously as with everything, they do get overblown.
You know, by the third one, I was hoping that Frodo would throw Sam off the mountain and just watch him crash down in the bitter rocks, because I really couldn't stand Sam. And SGS couldn't stand Frodo, so I guess for Team Gollum, ultimately, give Gollum the ring. He earned it.
I love the first film the most because the Hobbits are still with Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas, etc. So they don't have the Hobbit like standalone scenes in there. But I actually have lots of nostalgia for Lord of the Rings. I played lots of like PlayStation 2 games when I was a kid and stuff. And I actually watched the first episode of The Rings of Power, which is really, again, been a really controversial show, but I thought it was okay. It wasn't bad or it wasn't great, but it was okay.
Yeah, I'm saving them up and we'll watch them all when they're together. I just don't want to do that weekly thing. Just like I'll kill a day later on. I'll just watch them all, and then I'll think, why did I watch all this? And feel guilty with myself.
I'm probably not going to bother watching that.
Well, I'll complain to you about how I feel guilty with myself. Then how's that?
That's fine.
Yeah, I know I'll watch it. I'm just not interested enough to watch it in weekly, and the trailers didn't do much for me.
You don't want to watch it when they tell you to watch it.
No way. You watch it 5 years later,
Yes,
and you
absolutely.
say, no.
But it really isn't that bad. Like some people say that it's like the worst thing ever, but it's not that bad. So.
Yeah. Well, it's not
That's
the
the
Hobbit.
thing. That's the thing in today's world. It's either the worst thing ever or the best thing ever. And
I know,
nothing
it's
in between.
ridiculous.
So it's your choice, Nazrin.
Right, I'm going for Brazil.
Okay.
Because Brazil is one of those films that another one we're talking about is revered. It's like, this is the greatest thing ever. This is Terry Gilliam's peak. And it's okay. It's well made, but its point is fairly obvious and very 1984. And you pretty much get the point like 20 minutes in, and it goes on and on and on. And it's a lot of good actors, and I like Jonathan Pryce in the lead. I like the fantasy sequence. I like all the points that have been made, but the problem is it's making obvious points and it's not going very much further into what else is going on. And every time you hear Terry Gilliam talk about it, you always feel like, why do you put that in the film then? Because it's like he seems to be thinking a lot of the things with the subtext were actually there in the film, and it just the film just feels like a cartoonish thing, and it's not quite as interesting as what people think. But think about it, it's kind of like being like Blade Runner, where it feels like it's the film they made isn't interesting what they were thinking of behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think it's Gilliam's best film. But then again, I think
Yes,
Gilliam's pretty overrated as well.
Yeah, the best thing Gilliam ever did was the Criterion closet video where he said, "Yo, fucking Jimbo." Yeah. But I think he's, again, very overrated. I think, again, Brazil is his best film, but that isn't saying much. I actually met the guy in PFI South Bank when he had a talk before a Jabberwocky screening, and that film I truly hated. Like that was absolutely tedious, but I think Brazil is okay, but people say that it's like the best film in the Criterion collection and stuff like that, and
I wouldn't go that far.
leaves it nowhere near.
Yeah, it's no Godzilla versus Smog Monster. No way. No. So no response there from SJS that joke, no. Since you're complaining about Brazil, because Criterion doing Godzilla movies.
Well, they're doing Wall-E now, so.
I know. I like Wall-E, but I was like, this is
so
weird. But yeah, no, just Brazil just feels like it's. I actually prefer Time Bandits and Baron Munchausen to this because they're just silly fantasy films. And I just find when Gilliam tries to do ideas, he's not that good at it. He thinks he's better at filmmaking than he actually is, and it's not just be silly. You know, they're more effective. But yeah, no, it is one of those films that bug me when people say it's a masterpiece, and it's like, really? This one? This is the one that you really are saying is one of the most amazing films of the 80s? You know.
I have the Fisher King, right? Yeah, I have the Fisher King Criterion, and that's pretty mediocre as well, or maybe pretty good. But
yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Again, certainly not as good as its reputation.
Yeah. So yeah, no, again, it is conflicted. I do know it's a good film, but I just don't think it's. I think it's like a 3.5-star film where it's like a case of well done, good stuff. We went into the studio, but it's a film made by someone in development rather than a finished product. I don't think Gilliam ever became the finished product.
Yeah, I was going to say, did he ever actually become the finished product?
I know he did. I get potential, then he just went into self-indulgence, really, and that's the way he goes. But that's my choice anyway.
Well, speaking of self-indulgence, I'm going to go with low-hanging fruit, and Tarantino. It is the definition of insanity, because every time a Tarantino film comes out, I buy it and I think this will be the film where he reins it in. This will be the film where he's focused. This will be the film where the good things about his filmmaking will come to the fore. And every time I'm disappointed, but I keep doing it.
Every film gets longer. They're all getting longer.
Every film, and that's the confliction, because there's always like an hour and a half of good stuff or an hour and a quarter of good stuff. Unfortunately, it's wrapped in a 2.75 hour film, and I never learn my lesson. So hopefully he'll stop, so I can stop buying his films when they come out.
It's all the one left.
Just to be disappointed. Let's hope so. Obviously, for me, my favourite's Reservoir Dogs because it's the shortest, and even then, it's got a couple of scenes that you could have probably cut. Jackie Brown might be his most mature, but again, it's not actually from his original brain. But I keep repeating myself. I keep expecting different results, but there's always something to like. I mean, Hateful Eight looks gorgeous the way he shot it. His films always generally look good. And again, there's always parts that I really like, and then there's parts that are really annoying or parts that could have just been cut out completely. But I never learned my lesson, so it's more for me basically.
You know, Hateful Eight is probably my favourite of his later films. I like it more than other ones, but Django Unchained, when you just showed that last third, is fucking awful.
And the self-indulgence of putting him in the films
with a terrible accent. He's a terrible accent in that film.
Australian accent in that one, and even Pulp Fiction, which I let go the first time, but every time I watch Pulp Fiction, it kind of gets lower and lower on the rankings. I mean, why didn't he cast Steve Buscemi in that role? And he could have been an Elvis impersonator in the restaurant instead of having Buscemi as Buddy Holly for like 2 lines. It's a perfect example, very much like Scorsese, of not having somebody around him to say no.
Yeah. Or Gilliam. Gilliam's the same way.
Yeah. I guess one of the lessons this is don't be self-indulgent, but then if you're the only voice in your head, it's difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the steel book for it, which I thought when I was a teenager, when I was a big fan of Tarantino. But these days, again, I think it's too long, like you said. But I think it has some like fun performances.
Yeah, there's always
and it's a fun film. Yeah,
that you like, but then it's just get an editor and just cut your. But he loves these words, and the actors love the speaking words. So.
But I'm obviously famously always talk shit about Tarantino back in Vultures. Like we always called him Mr. Foot Fetish Fucker.
Yeah.
back then. But yeah, I think it's better than Hateful Eight. But I like Hateful Eight too. But yeah, rather watch the Dollars trilogy.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think I like Tarantino better than you two, but I still have a lot of frustrations with him because there's lots of self-indulgence. It's like I wish you could just tone it down a lot and focus. But I'm probably kinder to him, but it's still one of those things is like he's nowhere near the top for me at all. There's like he's always been that way for me. It's almost like I've been interested in him, I liked some of the stuff, but I've never been like, oh, this guy's amazing. It's always been like, yeah, there's talent there, but
yeah, I mean, I had high hopes for him, and he's let me down ever since. So maybe that's part of it.
Yeah, fooling you.
I know. Fooling me for keep buying these films when they come out at full price. And it's like.
So it's really your fault. You really. It's a self-hatred thing you're talking about.
It's a complete personal problem that I have.
Yeah.
He needs to stop making films.
Yeah, I think the thing with these types of directors is that the fan bases hype them up so much, so it kind of ruins the experience when you're when you hear people say like that this stuff is like the best thing ever, when stuff like the human condition exists.
Yeah.
But this is like, yeah, it's better than average, but there's
Yeah.
no substance there. It's just fun genre stuff, again with no substance, but it's good. It's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, because he makes his writing and directing choices on what's cool, what would be cool, instead of actually what would actually be good.
Yeah, one of the problems, I remember on Kill Bill, the first one, where you had the big fights in the end, where basically the one move that kept on doing the same move and cutting all these people up. And you're thinking, in Kung Fu movies, people have like, multiple moves. That's why they out the fights. That's the joy of Shaw Brothers film, is they've got so many moves you can do on different people. It makes it exciting. And this one, she had like one move that she defeated everyone with, and it was like, couldn't anyone just spot the move and just kill her? It's like, what the hell? So that's my little annoyance there.
Yes.
I know even people were saying how great that scene was, and I was like, no, it's not. It's the worst scene in the film.
Yeah. But again, we're living in days where everything gets overblown.
I know.
If your film's decent, it's a masterpiece. No, it's decent.
Yeah, it's enjoyable. That's it.
As SJS says, Human Condition's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
But I somehow predicted that one of you was gonna pick Django.
Yeah.
I actually didn't pick any Tarantino, but I thought that he would like fit the topic. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm just not interested enough to really go there. Really, it's just not. It's nothing to do with anything else. I'm just not interested enough in what he's doing to be conflicted. It's just like, yeah, he's doing his films. Okay, there we go. That's
so. SJS, have you got any other choices?
Yeah. Well, I'll go with a Christopher Nolan film, the master filmmaker.
Surprise.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna go with the underrated film, The Prestige, that has 1.5 million ratings on IMDb, so it's very underrated, extremely underrated. But I'm gonna go with Interstellar, which is a pretty good sci-fi film. But again, this kind of has the same problem as Alien, that the first hour is completely tedious. Like the first hour is back in Earth when they're like planning the space mission, and I think that's awful. Like with the awful Nolan characters that have no depth and they don't act like humans at all. But I really like the space part, when we see all the science stuff and the planet exploration stuff where Matt Damon is. And then there's the love conquers all, which isn't that cool. Yeah. But of course, in one of my videos, I said that I have a film club dedicated to Interstellar, but it's not true actually. But
well, I we can figure that one out.
But it's an incredibly complex film. It's so complex with the philosophical depth and scientific depth. It's one of the best films of all time. It's better than 2001: A Space Odyssey.
You probably are right. People probably have written thesis about it.
Yeah, I did a video on this years ago, and I got blocked by Warner Brothers who distributed it. Apparently, it's hard to see now because of them, because they complained. Because I pretty much pointed out that the plot was kind of like Bill and Ted's Big Excellent Adventure. There's so much similarities between Bill and Ted and Interstellar, but how they work everything out, and they're doing stuff in the wrong order, and it's like, that's Bill and Ted. That's just Bill and Ted. But which I don't think was. I actually like Interstellar, but that's like, I know it's flawed. One of those films I like, but I know there's problems.
But again, it comes back to, I mean, I like most Christopher Nolan films, but there's a difference between liking it and loving it and saying that's the best films of the 21st century.
You showed your ignorance of filmmaking rather than anything else. You just showed you haven't watched much.
But again, like you say, if you're only seeing a certain amount of films, then of course Christopher Nolan films are going to be near the top of the best films you've seen, because they are well made, they look good, they sound good, you know.
You're comparing to Transformers movies, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all
don't watch films with subtitles. It's so hard. You can't connect to the films.
We can't do that. We can't read.
Yeah.
I mean, it's simple math. You can't read subtitles. It's just
the
education system's fault.
oh, the film was made before I was born. It's too old for me.
I know.
It's in black and
It's-
white.
Yeah, I mean, I've just realised most of the films I've bought in the last 3 months are pretty much like our old films, and a lot of them are made before I was born. Like a vast majority of films I've bought in the last few months were made before I was born.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are not doing that.
And I'm completely obsessed about like 60s cinema. It's like my favorite decade for cinema. I always watch 60s cinema, even though it's again 30 years before I was born.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm all over the place, but I'm kind of like I'm watching lots of old stuff, and it's like films that, because I've got the projector now, films I can actually watch in the cinema screen type of thing, of I never saw before, only saw on TV. It's just to actually getting a sense of what they were actually were, really.
Yeah.
So I've been doing so much of that recently.
But go
Yeah.
watch The Prestige. It's incredibly underrated. I just have to remind you of that.
Yes.
I like Prestigious. That's my favorite Nolan film.
But is it underrated?
I think it is actually, but I really like the film, but I don't know if it's objective or not. I just like the film.
Yeah, but it's in the top 50 of IMDb, and you see all Nolan fans saying it's like incredibly underrated when millions of people like praise it every day of the week. So I don't see how it can be underrated.
But I underrated his filmography, is what I'm saying, compared to his other films, which I think a lot of them are overrated. But there's a lot of films that I would much rather watch. But that's my favourite of his.
Yeah.
One of the best way to put it.
So what's have you got another choice? Nazareth?
Was my choice? All right, sorry. Strange Circus, the Sion Sono film that is very hard to get hold of. The Dion Wynn managed to get me to see, and it is very disturbing. I'm conflicted with this film because it's so well made, but it's really disturbing. And as you're watching the film, you're thinking, is this illegal? Some of the stuff they're doing in this film, it just seems so messed up, and there's incest and there's paedophilia and everything else is part of the theme, and it's like, and it's just creepy as hell, but it's so well done. It's so melodramatic, and you're watching it knowing it's made by a really good director, but you're also just creeped out by the whole thing of it. It's all about fantasy and reality and abuse and where all that stuff goes, and it's a film that's given me the biggest air factor because I admire the director, but the film is really creeping me out. So that's why I'm reflecting that one.
Yeah,
I
so
really like it because again, I think it's again very, very, very creepy. But to me, it's like I would say it's probably like around top 5 Sono films. It's not like quite on my favorites list, but it's kind of a near favorite. But I had to watch it on a really bad print, which I again have on my hard drive somewhere. But I need to rewatch it.
You actually can get it on iTunes. It's available on iTunes to stream. But have you seen it, Ronan?
No, I mean, Sono's
think
another director that I've only seen Cold Fish, to be honest.
Yeah, but it is the one film I've seen in recent years I've got the reaction to it, because I don't know, most films don't really affect me. I'm usually fine with them. But I don't really get affected by films that way. I don't get offended and things. But that one got to me. That one really got to me. It was like but it's still a really interesting film, but the way they did it really kind of it's definitely working on your emotions and making you feel like you shouldn't be watching what you're watching. It's got that kind of feel to it, and it's one of the few films that's ever done that to me.
Yeah.
I think Sono is one of the directors that me and Nazarin like really agree on. I remember back when you did lots of the Sono videos, I think in 2020, and I remember that we had lots of the same opinions, that we really like the same films.
Yeah, it's like Sono was great. Sono was one of the directors that are.
I just rewatched Love Exposure and Why Don't You Play in Hell, and those are my 2 favorites. I love those films, and I will have them on my top 50 list when I do it.
Yeah, there's so many of his films that are just amazing. They're just and they all kind of combine, just come together, and they are all of a one, but they're also individual films, but there's just something fascinating about them. Especially when you get into them, I think hit the wavelength of them as a director. You just kind of, click on it. I think some people don't get them at all. And other people are just completely obsessed by him.
Yeah, I actually rated him over Kurosawa in my top 40, but behind Ozu and Kobayashi.
Yeah. Wise man. And Ronin will now strike you down with mighty force for that.
I have only seen one Sono film, so I can't comment.
And both Kurosawa and Sono are in my top 15, so it's not like a big difference. So
yeah. I'm much nicer with Kurosawa now since I rewatched some of his films than I was before. Before he was one of the directors that got my nerves, but now I really like him. But he's just not my top Japanese director. But I think the re-releases on Blu-ray really helped because I think they were good releases. You actually could see them, the picture quality really well, so you got to see the virtues of them.
Yeah, there's still a ton that need to be out in Blu-ray. Stray Dog and Drunken Angel and Bad Sleep Women.
Because a lot of them were you could just find them on really bad releases of things, and it was really bad quality. And you're not going to get a director from bad quality films. You're not really going to get the virtues.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that Sono is one of those directors for me, like David Lynch. So if I have like a film burnout, I can put like a Sono film on and then feel that passion for film again. And back to Kurosawa also, Redbeard actually got a Blu-ray release in like Sweden recently in a Kurosawa box set. I think it's not like released on Blu-ray anywhere else, but I think it only has like Swedish subtitles. Usually the Nordic releases also have Finnish subtitles, but I would have gotten the box set if it had Finnish subtitles, so it's kind of sad, but whatever.
Yeah, Redbeard's one of my favorite Kurosawa films, actually. It's not really grew up a lot, but it's one of my favorite ones, even though it was the one they fell out over.
Yeah, but again, it's how to do a long film well, which certain people could learn.
Not naming any names.
Not naming any names, but there's about half a dozen of them.
Yeah. What is
Tarantino, Scorsese, Spielberg.
Yeah, we're good at naming them. So, what your turn, Ronin?
I don't have any other ones. This was actually hard because, again, films that I struggle with, I generally wouldn't have that annoyed me that much. I mean, if I had another 6 months, I could maybe come up with some more, but let's go through other people's honourable mentions.
If SJS and I do one more, then we'll do some honourable mentions and just generally mention other ones. That'd be good.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll let you go first then.
Yeah. Well, this one I have on Blu-ray, and I'm pretty sure that you guys haven't seen this one, but it's Mel Gibson's Hacksaw Ridge.
I haven't seen that one.
I'm just going to refuse to watch it because the Passion of the Christ and Braveheart, I mean, they were brutal for me as films because I hate them so much. It's like, I'll stop.
Yeah, I saw it on the cinema back when I was a film pro still, so when I didn't know much about film. So then I thought that this was one of the best war films of all time, but I don't think that anymore. But I actually think it's like really cool to see like an American war film where they focus on a person who doesn't want to use weapons and just wants to save people in a war, because usually the American war films are like really pro-war and look at the American flags waving and how good we are and stuff like that. But this is like Steven Spielberg or the Green Mile levels of sentimentality, which kind of ruins it. And there are some like really stupid scenes when like Andrew Garfield's character is tracking Vince Vaughn through the war zone and he's just firing through the Japanese people. Like it looks just like a stupid action film. Yeah. And again, this like pretty much any American war film, it lacks both philosophical nuance and then kind of psychological nuance about the human condition. It's very simplified, but I still kind of respect it for what it was trying to say. And this is obviously based on a true story, and it's like a really cool story that this guy like saved 75 soldiers and he didn't ever touch a weapon. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I've not seen it. I'm just, Mel Gibson's just someone who annoys the hell out of me as a director. As an actor, he's fine if he's in a good part, but as a director, he just tends to annoy the hell out of me.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
I think Braveheart did a lot of damage for me because I hated it so much. It was just one of those films I just. You can watch my video as I go off on it. It's my problem.
And Hacksaw Ridge also has Hugo Weaving, just like Lord of the Rings, but he does this kind of alcoholic PTSD World War I veteran role, which is just hilarious. Like performance, me and Isaac always laugh about it, and there's some like really atrocious and completely like stupid sentimental dialogue in this that is so laughable. So you can watch this as a comedy as well.
Well, that's
it has
Mel
those kind
Gibson
of
films that
it
have
has
that.
those kind of but it has those kind of Full Metal Jacket like training camp sequences as well, which are okay, but yeah.
They're not quite as brutal as Kubrick.
Yeah, and you have Sam Worthington and Vince Vaughn and these kind of actors, so I don't think they like fit the film that well, even though they give like better performances than they usually do.
Yeah, I'm still not watching it. I'm not even checking it out. It's a big nope for me. My other one was Sid and Nancy, which is the film about Sid Vicious and his girlfriend Nancy by Alex Cox in the 80s. Now, this film did really well. This is one of the only Alex Cox films that did well financially. And I think, honestly, it's one of his weaker films because I think basically there's a lot of interesting stuff about the punk, about the times, but the love story has been set up to actually deliver something that's not really there. And part of the reality, they say it's a film about junkies, but it's also a love story. And it's like, I don't think they really like the love stories actually get in the way of the reality. It's something Alex Cox said later on. He said maybe the love story was wrong because it was someone enabling them to actually just get worse and worse rather than something that was actually helpful or something like that. In a way, it was just something that went away. It made them give a sentimental ending to a film which was just about junkies who. Basically, one killed the other, and the other one died over an overdose, and they were just basically junkies. I just think the sentimentality of that kind of love story, just to appease to people, gets in the way of lots of interesting things about punk, what punk was about, and what the philosophy of punk was, and why punk happened in Britain at the time. I think it just gets in the way of something more interesting. So that's why I'm conflicted. And it's a director I really like, and this is it's a big hit film, and it's not as good as his better films that no one saw, which also annoys me.
Yeah, I think the moral of the story is don't be sentimental and edit yourself.
Yeah.
That's the take-home message from this episode.
But at least in this one, the director said later on himself about it. It wasn't like he kind of was ignoring the flaws, really. Because I remember when he was down to do Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, he got fired because he wasn't going to be sentimental about it. And they brought in Gilliam, who made a film that I thought was a bit of a mess. Yeah. And it's just that thing of, it's something that probably come through a few of the films I've talked about, is I don't like the sentimentality of a film that's interesting, and then they just add stuff to appease people, and it ends always in screwing the film over.
Yeah.
Just have balls and stick to your point.
Yeah, this film has been on my near future watch list for a while. The only Alex Cox film I've seen is Repo Man, which I quite liked. But this is, I remember, one of the very early Criterion spines. So that's one of the reasons I want to watch it, because I want to complete the whole collection at some point. But I'm not the biggest fan of punk culture or punk music, so I don't know whether I'm gonna like it. But yeah.
It's a good film. It's just a flaw in it. It's an obvious flaw in it, and it's a flaw if a lot of people like. That's why they like the film. Why they think the film's palpable. There's a love story there, and really that's the thing I think is a big flaw of the film. And to be honest, Alex Cox made a lot better films in the 90s with Three Businessmen, Death and Compass, things like that, and Highway Patrolman's his best film, which he made after he was blacklisted. So he's made a lot of good films, but this one got attention, and it's it's not as good as some of the other ones. But that's just me.
Yeah, but generally, sometimes directors' most successful film isn't their best one.
I know.
Because success and best are two different things.
Yeah. So we do honorable mentions then, or dishonorable mentions, or whatever. Or what? So let SJS go first.
Should I say like a couple words about the films, or should
Yeah,
I just
sure.
say
Just,
them?
just say a few words about why you think that thing.
So the first one is Les Silence de la Mer by Jean-Pierre Melville. So this was a film that I was really excited to watch because the plot synopsis sounded so amazing, but I think the execution wasn't as good as I hoped it would be, but it's still a pretty good film. Then Only God Forgives by Nicholas Winding Refn. I think I really like his visual style, but this film is like it was written by like a 15-year-old Tarantino, so it's like really juvenile.
I really liked it. But it is melodramatic and ridiculous. But I liked the weird, some weird thing I liked about it. But I know what you mean, though.
Yeah, and the mother character was like horrible, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, Kristen Scott Thomas was just horrendous.
Then I have the Bruce Lee film Way of the Dragon. So I really like the action sequences, but then everything else is awful. So that's kind of the problem. And then I have a Aki Kaurismäki film, I Hired a Contract Killer. So this is the one he shot in London. And it has kind of all those Kaurismäki elements, but to me, they just don't work here that well. Maybe it's the British context, but it actually has one of my favorite actors in a main role, Jean-Pierre Lude, but he doesn't save the film. But again, it's a pretty good film. Kaurismäki is a really consistent director, but not one of his best. And then I have Peter Jackson film again, King Kong. And everybody knows that the first hour is like completely awful when they aren't in the island yet. So that's the only reason basically. And then one final film is a film that I watched recently, is Bong Joon-ho's Okja. And it's just kind of has that kind of propaganda element and kind of maybe lacks a bit of nuance, even though I kind of agree with the animal rights message, but it's a pretty good film. Yeah.
I have a few mentions too. I've got Metropolis, which is I'm a massive Fritz Lang fan. I've both people how much a fan I am, but Metropolis doesn't do much for me because it's like it's visually great, it's directed great, but I think the script's very simplistic and the story's simplistic, and it kind of annoys me because he was making so many good films in that period. This one just feels like the one that's the famous one, but it's not the one that's really the good one. So that one I'm conflicted about because it is a good film, but it's just not as good as it should be. There's Cat People by Paul Schrader, which is really fascinating, but it's also clunky as hell in the narrative. It's like it's almost like a psychology session of Schrader the therapist, but it's also got a really weird plot at the same time. It's like it's personal and just a really clunky horror movie at the same time. So it's a weird film, but I find it fascinating, but it's still a bit of a mess.
You're gonna get it 4K?
Yep, it's getting 4K. You do know I'm buying it. You do know it's definitely. That's what makes it more frustrating when you're buying flawed stuff. There's Natural Born Killers, the Oliver Stone versus Tarantino thing. Because they are visually, it's pretty adventurous and it's got lots of ideas, but it's also tacky as hell and garish and really stupid. And it takes itself so serious as if it's making important points when it's not. It's making obvious points. But visually, it's got a lot of abandonment. It seems to be enjoying itself. So it's like a weird thing where you enjoy some of it, but it's also, you're watching a film that's really pretentious at the same time. So it's annoying, but also kind of enjoyable. But it's kind of a weird one. But it is tacky as fuck. It's Oliver Stone.
Yeah.
And Oliver Stone always takes himself too seriously. And finally, Ishtar, which is a film, massive bomb, but it's also a film about American politics. And it's kind of in the showgirls thing for me as well, where there's lots wrong with it. But the politics stuff's actually really interesting. But the comedy stuff is not so good because Warren Beatty is miscast and he can't really pull off his part. And The Fortune's similar, because I've done covered The Fortune, it's the same problem, where it's an interesting film and there's lots of flaws in it, but it's still likeable. And I think Ishtar's likeable, but it's very, very flawed. So those are my kind of like honorable mentions.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Let's never speak of it again.
Yeah, sadly, we never got the Indicator release of Ishtar.
I know. We might have got some of the stories about what actually happened there. You know,
But we might not get that until Warren Beatty leaves us.
Yeah, I think we all know who's involved, and keeping that back is. Which is a shame because you want Elaine May's side of the story before she goes as well, because she's pretty funny, and it's a bit of a shame that you're not going to get that. But yeah, Beatty's in a lot of films where he's kind of the crappy part of the film. You know, it's like he chooses good people around him, but he's the kind of person who's not as good as everyone else.
Yeah,
it's a flaw. So everyone just fall into a coma.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're conflicted about our conflictions.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. So, what has everyone been watching recently then? What's the kind of? I mean, it's hard because Ronin and I, you might see videos, you might not, depending on the film. But so, what you've been watching SJS, since you tend to put stuff up a lot less than we do.
Well, I rewatched Garfield 2 days ago. Like
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Garfield is Garfield's something. It's
yeah, because you've been logging rewatches SJS because you're doing your top 50 at some point, your favorite 50 at some point.
I don't actually remember that well what I've been watching. Like, I mean, I later watched on my phone, so I can check it really quickly.
Yeah, but you watched Garfield for the top 50, didn't you? That's the reason. It wasn't for us. It just became our one for this video once you realised, oh, this is a horrible mistake.
You can sneak it in at number 50.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I watched that like famous anime for the first time, Ghost in the Shell.
Oh, Ghost in the Shell.
That was quite good.
Yep.
I need to watch Angel's Egg by the same director. Many people loved that one.
Yeah. The anime is much better than the live action.
Yeah. It does have Kitano in it, but
yeah. It's not that
and then I watched the original Fires on the Plane, a film by Kon Ichikawa, which was a really good war film.
Yeah, I haven't watched that one. I love the remake, but I haven't seen the. It's one of those weird things. I love the remake because it was who made it. But yeah, it's I still haven't seen the original, so I need to get around to it.
And I rewatched Tokyo Story, which is always so beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's wonderful. I've got a bunch of Ozu I've now got in Blu-ray that I need to rewatch, but I just haven't got around to rewatch them yet. It's just like I got Ozu, I need to be in the right mood, and then I tend to go through tons of them. But usually it's like one leads to the other, leads to the other, leads to the other.
Yeah.
But
I made this great discovery this week. So I tried use my VPN to watch like the US version of HBO Max, and they have the Turner Classic Movies there, and they had like lots of Ozu films, some of the ones that I haven't seen, like Tokyo Twilight as well. So I think I'm probably gonna watch some Ozu soon.
Wow. Yeah. I don't have HBO Max at all, so I mean, I was thinking to use my VPN to get a TV channel, but it's like there's so much backlog at the moment, and I've actually been cancelling things I used to subscribe to just to kill the backlog a bit. I've got a movie here, so I've got quite a few films on my to watch a movie things. I need to really go through them.
Yeah, they actually have like 200 Criterion films. Basically, they even had like saturated Ray films, like a dozen of them. Like some of the ones that I haven't seen. Like I'm really excited to watch The Big City. That's been like one of my one of the films that I've been really excited about. So I'm gonna watch that soon.
That's cool. Yeah, no. Yeah, I just find my backlog's almost impenetrable at the moment. It's just like trying to just click away at it as much as you can. Like whenever you watch when you feel you've 2 more to watch. It's always like there's just more and more and more every time you turn your head and look. There's something else you need to watch. There's something else you need to watch. Something else you need to watch. But I did watch Solaris, Tarkovsky's Solaris on Friday. So expect a video in that. And as Ronan knows, I watched all these Quatermass films over the weekend for video, which are these old 50s, 60s sci-fi movies, but with lots of ideas. They're idea-based rather than just pulp. And so I've been doing that. But I've got a bunch of things to watch. It's just that my backlog is just horrific. It's just
Yeah, I think mine will be worse.
No, I've even got. Sorry.
Yeah, I just got this BFI Bergman set, this volume 1, and this has lots of films that I haven't seen yet. So
That's cool. Yep. Yeah, we need to go back to our Bergman watch thing because we did a bunch of them, and now we need to go back to do more. We've got like 5 different director seasons going on at the moment.
Yeah.
That we do very slowly.
Yes.
We may die before we get into Bergman. I mean, we may die. That's maybe wonders why I don't have to finish the thing off by the time we get through.
Yeah, I'm fully comfortable with the fact I'm going to die before I get through my backlog. So.
Yeah. It's like I've got this section around the side of film of the box sets I've got that I'm going to watch soon. And try to shame myself into watching things just to make sure I don't avoid it anymore. Because I've got like the Buddhist trilogy to watch. That's in my section as well. And there's Bin Wells stuff. And my Herzog box set to watch more of Herzog. So it's just trying to kind of remind yourself, yeah, you need to watch these. Because there's just so many. Especially summer though, I find the summer is hard to watch stuff that is intelligent because I find my brain just melts and can't really accept intelligent films when it's too warm.
Yeah, I hate the summer. I'm glad that it's autumn now in Finland. So.
Yeah, you can watch more films. I just find it's much easier to turn the lights out and just watch stuff, and it's my brain can accept it a lot more. And it's so I've got lots of ambitions that I'll probably not succeed in half of. But I've got lots of ambitions, different things to watch, but we'll see how it goes.
Yes.
And many people here say that they get a winter depression, but I said to my friends last year that I have winter mania because I love the darkness and stuff.
Yeah, I'm pretty good with it. It's just that maybe January sometimes I get a bit down, but generally I'm fine. But I think because of the COVID lockdowns and stuff, I think it really didn't help. Like I have noticed a lot of people that were in our community have been a bit quiet in the last year. I think I know I've been pretty bad at communication as well, just because I think sometimes it's just difficult to get off your backside and do stuff like that. It's always kind of make sure you motivate yourself to get things done.
Yeah, really. I definitely get summer depression.
Yes.
I'm glad it's the autumn.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I just find that as soon as it gets too warm, I'm absolutely useless. I'm really, really bad. Because sorry.
Yeah, it's really awful to live in Europe where we don't have like air conditioning in most apartments. So that really ruins the summer.
Yeah. It's terrible. I mean, I have to block out all my lights so I can watch something on the projector. It's really annoying. You put up all the effort up to make sure no light gets in to your precious projector.
Yeah, much better when it gets dark at 4:30.
Well, it's much warm. It's way too warm when you block everything off, and then you try to watch someone projector, and you're like, I'm sweating like crazy here.
And many people actually think that Finland is like really cold in the summer too, but like this summer we had so many 30-degree days, and in that night, like 3 a.m. there was like 20-degree nights as well, and then like this apartment building where I live, and most apartment buildings they get really hot, so it's like 30 degrees inside like all day, so it's awful.
Yeah, no, in Scotland it's much warmer than normal. We were doing like 26, 27 degrees, and it's like that's unusual for Scotland. Scotland's usually raining. Scotland's usually like miserable and raining. It's like it's very annoying.
You'd almost think global warming's a thing.
I know, yeah, but I just can't take the sun. I mean, the sun, I'm allergic to it.
Yeah, me too.
This is way too annoying. But at least we've got the winter now to actually get back to movie watching. Like I was ready to watch this was a 7-hour War and Peace, and then the summer hit, and it was like, there's no way I'm doing 7 hours of War and Peace just now. There's just no way I'm going to get through this. I'll wait till the autumn before I get through into this one. So the whole bunch of stuff, I was going to do a lot more Herzog stuff, and there was just like, nope. But I did get into Tarkovsky though. I got through Tarkovsky this summer because I needed depression to make up for the summer. I needed a Russian voice telling me how hopeless life is. You know, that's what I needed in the summer.
Yeah, in Scotland, that should be natural.
Yeah, I have this kind of weird problem that every day when I'm trying to pick a film, I always just want to watch Firewalk with me again and again. Yeah, it's so good. Like last time I got really emotional when I watched it, when there's the Julie Cruise scene with Questions in a World of Blue song. That's so crushing, and I've been listening to that song like every day since I watched the film for the last time. And yeah, that's like become my favorite song of all time due to the film.
Oh, that soundtrack's amazing. That Firewalk with Me soundtrack. I've played it in my radio shows, which is about film soundtrack. I've played the Firewalk with Me soundtrack way too many times. I'm sure people are sick of it now. I'm sure they want to kill me every time I play it now. But yeah, I actually find I'm much more relaxed with what I'm watching now. I just, whatever I fancy watching, it'll go from between like something really highbrow, something really lowbrow, and I don't care anymore. I'm just going to watch whatever I feel like watching. So it's kind of funny suddenly think, I fancy watching Solaris, which is kind of not a normal person's view. It's just a film fan's view. I just fancy watching Solaris. It's not really something most people think. And that's what happened Friday morning. I fancy watching Solaris.
I started watching one of my like favorite guilty pleasures last night, but I didn't finish it. It's this stupid John Travolta film From Paris with Love.
Oh, that's terrible.
I haven't seen it.
That's even for a bad film, that's bad. That's proper unwatchable type of thing. That is pretty much the French thriller version of Battlefield Earth. It's that kind of level of bad.
And it's like, also kind of like a terrorist version of Training Day. Like
John
Travolta is almost like Denzel Washington. So.
Yeah, I know. It's like one of those films that nothing works in it. It's like watching a train crash slowly. Yeah,
I just love watching John Travolta being like a Terminator in it, and he can solve these crimes without no problem, and there's no sense with it, and he makes these stupid jokes about like Karate Kid and
and he's bald and with a goatee, and it's just ridiculous looking, and it's like, oh my god, yes, that's a true guilty pleasure movie. That's like full on bad.
And that sentimental ending when we see the main character's girlfriend with the bombs and stuff like it's so laughable.
Oh yeah, that's a terrible one.
But I always loved Training Day, so that's why I love this one too.
Yes. The craziness of youth. The things you like you just think you look at them and go, oh, that's not quite good.
This came out in 2010 when I was 13, so like the first...
I explained so much.
First 3 like teenage years, I watched this like 10 times or something.
Yes. The things you watch when you're young it's usually really embarrassing a lot of times. It's like, oh, I was that stupid once. Ooh.
Yeah, I love the like Steven Seagal films that he shot in Bulgaria and stuff.
Oh, I love them. They're terrible.
Hungry and stuff.
Yeah, they're...
And you'd always be partnered with a rapper.
Yeah, and they'd always be giving advice to young women as well. Like, I like you. Here's some advice from this guy who looks like a rapist. It's like, don't go into any room with this guy. Don't.
I remember the film Born to Raise Hell. That was the one that I liked. And
no, there's one. I can't remember the name of it. It's one set in Japan, and it's not Into the Sun. It's another one, and there's weird stuff with Buddhas and stuff like that, and he gets psychic power from the Buddhas to fight better, and it's so ridiculous. It's brilliant. It's so hilarious. It's like, I cannot believe you're doing this in a film, but bravo, because it is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life.
And I remember all the stupid Jean-Claude Van Damme films as well, like In Hell or whatever that one was called, and Universal Soldier.
They're all getting 88 film releases.
Yeah, no, Universal Soldier ones are good fun. The last two are good fun because they were made by a director who knew what he was doing, even though he was making pulp, he knew what he was doing. But some of the Jean-Claude Van Damme ones they're no Seagal ones, because Seagal was ridiculous, and Van Damme is maybe not as ridiculous as Seagal, because Seagal was Ed Wood level action hero now.
Double Team with Dennis Rodman's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I remember when I saw the Expendables 2 in the cinema when I was like 16, and that became like one of my top 5 films of all time back then.
Oh my God. Well, that's a very ridiculous film. That's a insanely stupid film. I'm not putting it down actually because it is enjoyably stupid, but it is a film for a Saturday night when you can't be asked to think of anything. It's like I have no self-respect. I'm watching this film.
And I was really into that Jason Statham films like Transporter series and The Mechanic and films like that.
Yeah, Statham stuff's fun. I mean, they are ridiculous, but at least he knows they're ridiculous. I think if the person behind him knows they're ridiculous, it's fine. But I think some action stars take themselves a bit seriously when they're doing really stupid stuff.
But I still laugh like the Arnold films like Commando and stuff like that. Like that's the like proper cheesy stuff. But of course, Roadhouse is the best cheesy action film of all time. I used to fuck guys like you in prison.
Yeah, that's so ridiculous. It's so over the top. There's no top. It's just something insane. The fact they're remaking it, it's like, why are you even remaking this when you're never going to top as pure cheese? This film
this one will be super serious, probably.
There's another good one I rewatched recently, but I saw years ago, called Stone Cold.
Stone Cold's fantastic.
It's wonderfully ridiculous. If you haven't seen it, you have to watch Stone Cold because it's so stupid. It's moronic but wonderful at the same time. The biker gangs trying to attack the government, all these militias and everything else, and it's and they don't blow someone up every 10 minutes in the film. They feel really disappointed themselves, and it's just so stupid that it's wonderful.
It's one of Lance Henriksen's finest films.
Yeah.
He's the second best bouncer in the state, and he has a PhD.
Yeah, that's. Do you think the person who wrote Roadhouse was drunk most of the time? Is a question.
I need to watch the sequel.
Yeah, I think you really need to watch the sequel. I don't. It'll never live up to, the glories of Roadhouse. But yeah, I think you need some really ridiculous films in your diet every so often. You can't just keep doing the masterpiece. You need to watch the kind of. I try and mix and match them, so I'm watching something really good, then something bizarre, then something really good. I try and kind of mix and match it a lot, especially in winter when you actually do the mood to watch better films. But it's
all about balance.
Yeah. So
Roadhouse is actually quite well-made film, even though it's so stupid. Like, it's really well shot, and the action sequences are really good.
Yeah. So
I love Patrick Swayze.
I get the feeling you're obsessed with this film. You're if this film is a person, you'd be stalking it.
Yeah.
Might see your favourite 50.
Yes. Yeah. Favourite film of all time, Roadhouse. What happened?
And Rennie Harlin films, The Covenant.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Harry Potter can kiss my ass. Yeah.
I've never seen The Covenant.
Yeah, that would be perfect for What the Hell Is This series, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You ever seen Driven? The Rennie Harlin, Stallone,
missed
car
that one.
race
I don't
movie.
think so.
It's
Yeah.
terrible but wonderful. It's one of those films I watched when I was down one day, and it really cheered me up because how bad it was. It was so awful that it was just wonderful because they'd just awful acting by everybody involved, and they've taken it so serious. They thought they were doing a Oscar-winning film, and it was terrible. But it was beautiful for how bad it was, for just how nothing worked in all the right ways.
The funny thing about Rennie Harling is that he actually got a TV show, reality TV show in Finland now. They're called the Harlins. Like it's starring him and his trophy wife who is my age, and they just had a baby. And he also just published a biography last year, and it's probably one of the bestseller books.
Oh my God.
By the way, the TV show was also renewed for the second season already. I think that first season has like a gender reveal party for the baby and stuff like that.
Oh my God.
Have we just entered an alternate universe here?
Yeah, I just feel I've suddenly lost my sanity. Like, what the hell's going on in Finland? I mean, I thought we were crazy over here, but okay, this sounds just messed up and weird. This sounds like we're in a Twilight Zone.
Every time I open like one of the Finnish streaming services, they always have the ad for the Harlin TV show.
Oh my God. I guess they're all massive fans of Nightmare on Elm Street 4 then.
I remember back then when he did that, there's like an interview on YouTube when he has this really long hair, and it was probably back when he was dating Laura Dern. So,
yeah, it looks ridiculous. It was some of his films are wonderfully awful. I mean, there's like I do enjoy the Rennie Harling film for how bad a lot of them are. But I mean, do you ever see the Hercules one he did? It was so terrible.
Yeah, the Legend of Hercules.
In 3D, and I saw it in 3D. The 3D was terrible, but it was like it was just wow. You managed to make a film even worse than a Rocks film, and that film was terrible. So
Cliffhanger will always be my favourite.
What's that? Cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger will always be my favourite.
Cliffhanger's fun, and so is the Long Kiss Goodnight. Those are the fun ones he made.
The Covenant.
Yeah.
Competent ones. Yeah.
Yeah, and the shark one was fun and how stupid it was. But but there's not many. It's like, okay, those are the ones they made that people can still watch. That's it. 3 out of like 2 dozen.
Yeah. That was 30 years ago.
Yeah, the dialogue in The Covenant is so hilarious. Dreamcatcher, that was the shit. Boys and their toys, and you are my biatch. I will use my powers.
Oh my God. His Exorcist film was terrible. His Exorcist film was unwatchably awful. It was.
I actually like that more than the Schrader one.
Oh, you poor bugger.
At least the Harley one was fun. The Schrader one was just tedious. So.
Oh, well, we can agree, disagree, but you're wrong. But yeah, no, the Harlem I saw in the cinema, and my jaw was dropped on the floor the whole time, thinking, "What the fuck? What the fuck? What? Let's
throw more blood at it."
Yeah.
And Deep Blue Sea. How did we forget that?
Oh,
that's better than Jaws.
Yeah, that's what I just talking about the shark one. Yeah, it's,
I haven't seen 2 and 3.
The shark film that Spielberg wished he'd made.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I'd actually rather watch Deep Blue Sea than Jaws again. So
yeah,
at least it has Samuel L. Jackson. So
yeah, I think we should stop now. We're going so far into bizarreness now.
Yes.
I think our reputations are now being completely trashed. So thanks for watching. Those last 10 minutes have been educational. Yeah. So thanks SJS for coming along.
Thank you.
And thanks Ronin for putting up with us and introducing us.
Okay.
And we'll see you all in our time.
Bye.
Yes. But watch Roadhouse.
Watch the Harlins.
Yeah, watch the Harlins. Yes. This is education.
And the Prestige is incredibly underrated.
Yeah, damn right it is. Yep. So see you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.